All right, let's dive into something really fascinating today.
Yeah, sounds intriguing.
We're talking generative AI
Okay.
and how it's changing the game for businesses. You with me?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
We're looking at some research about this platform called Genio.
Genio, huh?
Claims it can make IT initiatives like way more productive.
How much more productive are we talking about?
Think 10 times.
Whoa.
Yeah, 10 times. It's a bold claim.
That's wild. 10 times. What's the catch?
Well, before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's break down what Genio is actually trying to solve.
Hmm.
What problems is it tackling?
Good point. Always start with the problem.
Exactly.
So the research highlights this pressure to do more with less. It's everywhere.
Across the board.
Across the board, yeah.
Mm.
Research, IT development, IT management.
The struggle is real.
It never ends. Imagine researchers, right? They're racing to be the first, always competing.
Always.
And IT departments, they're stuck with these, like, ancient systems. And IT managers, don't even get me started. The security threats never let up.
It's a lot.
It's relentless. Everyone's being asked to do more with less. Tighter deadlines, fewer resources.
The world just keeps spinning.
Exactly. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so you're saying this Genio platform might actually be the solution.
Well, that's what they're saying. And this research actually points to a study
Okay.
where Genio made things 10 times more productive.
Hold on. Did you say 10 times? Again.
10 times compared to the old ways of doing things. So naturally,
Yeah.
we've got to ask, what makes Genio so different?
Right, because we've all heard these big promises before.
We're a bit skeptical.
We got to be right. So what's the catch with Genio?
Well, that's where the details get super interesting.
Okay.
This isn't just automating a few small tasks.
It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. Genio is designed for large-scale solutions. It grows with your business.
So it's more adaptable.
Way more. And it's way more flexible and scalable than those other low-code platforms.
So it's not just a quick fix.
No way. This is like a long-term partner.
That's a different way of thinking about software.
It is, isn't it?
But how does that actually work in real life? What does that look like?
Picture this. You could be developing products in weeks instead of months.
Whoa, are you serious?
Imagine what that does to your agility, your bottom line.
I'm already doing the math in my head. That's a game changer.
Right?
But hold on. If things are moving that fast, what about the teams working on this?
What do you mean?
Are we talking about people losing jobs?
Actually, the research suggests the opposite.
Really?
It's not about replacing people. It's about making your teams even stronger.
So it's about empowering them.
Exactly. Remember that more with less problem we talked about?
Yes.
Genio helps you do that, streamlines processes, lets developers focus on the big picture stuff.
That's a much more optimistic outlook than I was expecting.
Right.
But let's be real, this all sounds amazing, but what's the price tag?
Well, according to the research,
Yep.
Genio claims it can reduce total cost of ownership by 30%.
Wow. Okay, that's significant.
And get this, they're all about no vendor lock-in,
Wait, really? No vendor lock-in?
which is practically unheard of in the software world these days.
That is refreshing.
Right.
Okay, now that's interesting. But here's another thought.
Yeah.
If this Genio is as user-friendly, as they say,
Right.
could it mean that more people within a company could contribute to, like, digital transformation?
That's a great question.
Even if they're not, coding experts.
You're onto something. The research calls this design thinking.
Design thinking.
It's like a more intuitive approach to building software, much less intimidating than traditional coding.
So it's not just about coding faster, it's about changing who can code.
That's the idea.
I like that. Tell me more about this design thinking and how it works with Genio.
It's less about like writing code and more about visually connecting the dots.
Okay, I like that.
Like a puzzle, almost.
Interesting. So you drag and drop these pre-built pieces.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
It all comes together based on what your business needs.
And that's how they make it accessible, even for folks who aren't,
Coding wizards.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that opens up a lot of possibilities. I imagine marketing teams could build landing pages without needing a developer for every little tweak.
Exactly. And that's what the research points to. It can really make companies more agile, more innovative.
That makes a lot of sense. But let's pivot back to the tech side for a sec. The research mentioned hybrid generative AI. What in the world is that?
Oh, it's super cool, actually. So you're blending two things. Symbolic AI, which is all about logic and rules,
Okay.
and these LLMs, like what powers ChatGPT.
Huh.
The stuff that can be incredibly creative.
So like a logician meets a poet.
That's a great way to put it.
But how does that translate to like actually building software that's better?
So Imagine this. The
Yeah.
symbolic AI provides this really strong structure.
Like the foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make sure the software is reliable, does what it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Then the LLM comes in with that adaptability. So it can learn and evolve.
Right on. It's not just stuck in its ways.
That's smart. So less rigid than the old way of building software,
Yeah,
but also maybe more reliable than just relying on those LLMs entirely.
you got it.
Okay, I see the appeal, but you know me, I always got to ask.
Get me.
How does this actually play out in real-world scenarios?
There's this great case study in the research.
Oh, tell me more.
A financial services company, they were struggling to keep up with mobile banking.
Oh, I bet. Those guys are notorious for being slow to adapt.
Tell me about it. So their old development methods, they were just way too slow.
Painfully slow, I imagine.
Exactly. Then they try Genio.
Mhm.
They roll out a whole suite of new mobile features in just weeks. What would have taken them months before?
That's incredible. So they're faster, more secure.
And their customers are happier.
Win-win-win. That's the dream, right?
Right. It shows that Genio's not just automating coding, it's changing the whole game. How we think about building software.
It's about working smarter.
100%. But let's keep it real. No technology is perfect.
Right.
There are challenges. One thing the research points out, companies need to be ready to change how they think.
Adapt or die kind of thing.
In a way, yeah. Embrace this new way of working. More collaborative, data-driven.
So a potential cultural shift.
Yeah, it could be a big shift for some. And the
Yeah.
other thing,
Yeah.
Genio can automate a lot, but you still need humans.
To oversee everything.
Yeah, especially for things like figuring out what the software actually needs to do, designing how it looks for the user. That human touch is still essential.
It's about humans and AI working together.
Exactly. It's about
Yeah.
augmenting our abilities, not replacing us. That's where the magic happens.
I like that. Now, for someone listening who's like, all right, I'm intrigued, but where do I even start? What would you recommend?
It's easy to get overwhelmed, right? Don't worry, you don't have to become a coding whiz overnight.
That's good to hear. Baby steps.
Exactly. Start small. The research actually suggests that.
Okay, so what's a good starting point?
Think about a problem you're facing, a process that's clunky.
I like it.
Then think, could something like Genio help here?
So start with the problem, not just the shiny new tech.
Exactly. Don't get distracted by the shiny object. Focus on what you need to fix. And there are resources out there. Genio has these workshops.
Oh, cool. Like a crash course.
Exactly.
Fine.
They show you the ropes, what's possible. It's about getting your hands dirty, experimenting.
Love it. But let's zoom out a bit. We've been talking about Genio, but it's just one piece of the generative AI world.
Right.
What does all this mean for the future of, well, everything?
That's a big question, honestly. We're still figuring it out. But the potential, it's huge. This could reshape entire industries.
No kidding. And we're already seeing it happen. Remember that McKinsey survey we mentioned?
Yeah, with businesses bracing for disruption.
3/4 of them are expecting major changes because of generative AI. That's a lot.
It is, but here's the thing. It's not about being scared. It's about being ready,
So adapt or get left behind.
basically. The ones who embrace the change, who are willing to learn, they'll be the ones who thrive.
It's not about fearing the robots taking our jobs.
Right.
It's about figuring out how to work alongside them.
Right. 100%. And that's what I find so exciting about all of this. It's not humans versus machines. It's about working together.
We could do so much more that way. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It really has.
We went from, like, what even is generative AI to
Mhm.
here's a real example. And then, pondering the future,
And we managed to do it all without, getting lost in the technical weeds.
which is key.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, this technology, it's all about empowering people.
That's what it comes down to.
Doing more, being more efficient, reaching their full potential. And for anyone listening who's feeling that spark of curiosity, I hope this has given you the push you need.
Yeah, go out there and explore. Try a new tool. Start a conversation.
Don't be afraid to dive in.
Exactly. We're all in this together, figuring it out as we go.
Love that. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.